take your clay, mush it in your hands, and then flatten it like a pancake. This is called a slab. A slab is a flat piece of clay that you usually make by rolling with a rolling pin or flattening it with your hands. If your rolling pin gets too wet, you want to move it to a drier side and continue rolling. If your rolling pin sticks to the clay, it's time to pick up your clay and move it. Next thing you're going to do is trace your clay using the toothpick tool. Make sure that you're carving through the clay so that you can actually use the excess clay to create the pieces for your board. Once you're done, you want to move your slab out of the way so that you leave yourself some room to start rolling some coils. Coils are long ropes of clay. You're going to need these to make the spaces for your tic-tac-toe pieces to go into. When you roll, you want to apply even pressure, keeping your fingers evenly spaced. My suggestion is to not get thinner than your pinky. Once you have a long enough coil, you want to take it and measure it against the base of your tic-tac-toe board. Then, once you have it measured out, it's a good enough length, take your tool and cut it. Measure each one out, trying to make sure you have equal distance between each of the tic-tac-toe spaces. Now it's time to blend. Typically, I'd have you slip and score to add something, a piece to another piece. But in this case, because our clay is so moist, we're going to just use the clay tool and we are going to just smear the clay and blend it to get rid of the seam and make sure that it's smoothed out so that it adheres to the base of the tic-tac-toe board. Take your time with this step and make sure that you do each side of each of the coils that you are adding to your tic-tac-toe board. If you don't, each of the coils will dry up and most likely flake right off the board, so you have to make sure that they are secured onto the piece of clay. Fresh coil. This is going to be the crisscross lines for the tic-tac-toe board. Pay attention to see how I cut little spaces out to secure them on. First, I'm going to measure and cut the coils to make sure that they are the right size and the right distance before I stick anything down to the slab. Once I know where they're going, I can make little notches on either side of the coil to know what part I have to cut out. Remove the excess clay so that the coil can fit in between. Once they're on, start blending again. Make sure you take your time with this step. Smooth each coil onto the base and make sure that even the intersecting parts are smoothed out, making sure that there's no seams present. Now if you want to add a border going around the outside, let's say you're turning your tic-tac-toe board into a pizza or a frying pan or something that has an edge, roll a thicker coil, probably about the size of your index finger, to go around. Make sure you measure before you adhere. And before you stick it on, You definitely want to add some slip because at this point your clay is probably going to be a little bit dry. So when you go to add clay to another piece of clay, you want to make sure that you're scoring, which is roughing up the clay, and then adding some slip. Now comes time to blend the clay again. I'm using the same little tool, the flat side, and I'm dragging some of the clay from the outer coil onto the base of the tic-tac-toe board. I'm going to do this on both sides. Once the coil is secured on, you want to take your finger, you could dip it in some of the slip if you'd like, and just make sure you smooth out any rough edges. You want to make sure to get rid of that seam. Now it's time for the back. Same process. Get rid of the seam.